You are never alone in your struggles. Jesus is by your side. How do you survive physical and emotional abuse? Nancy Jones, wife of 30 years to the legendary country music artist George Jones, shares her side of the story in her book, Playing Possums, that his fans and others might find surprising or even quite shocking. And she has a message that saved her, George, and others facing the same battle. This is her story. This is today's Nashville. This is Faith. Beautiful Nancy Jones, Ken Abraham, thank you so much for inviting me into your beautiful home. It is absolutely gorgeous, and what an honor it is to talk about your book. Ken, you helped write it.
I did. We had a great time.
We did.
It is an unbelievable book. I read it. I couldn't put it down. Playing Possum, I was surprised, like so many other people, a little bit shocked sometimes. We're going to talk about it. But the first chapter just took me back, and it was, you almost died. Tell me what happened.
I got COVID, and so then you couldn't go into the hospitals or nothing like that. So we went to this doctor's office, but he said, stay in the car and I'll bring your medicine down there. So they hooked me up to IVs and all of this in the car. Well, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I knew I was dying because I had started throwing up and everything that you do when you know you're dying. And I kept telling Kirk, I said, Kirk, I am dying.
And he's your assistant, right? Or agent, isn't he?
Yeah, and I said, I'm dying. I said, I really am. He said, no, it's just the medicine they're giving you. Well, he looked back there and he said, oh my God. So he grabbed me and took me up to the doctor's office where you're not supposed to go in because of COVID. And they said, there's nothing we can do. She don't have a pulse. And I don't remember none of that. I know they said I messed up the elevators and everything because I was dying. Right. You know, I always said that I think they cleanse your body when you're fixing to go to heaven. So you're gonna make me cry here. So they said, she doesn't have a pulse, there's nothing we can do. And Kirk was screaming and hollering, calling the ambulance. Well, by the time the ambulance got there, it's been 10 minutes later. I'm still dead.
No pulse for more than 10
Nothing.
minutes.
Did they do CPR or did they?
No, so the ambulance came, the guy came,
dead.
he came up and said, she has no pulse, there's nothing we can do. So Kirk is screaming at them, oh yes you can, you got to. So when they were putting me on the gurney to bring me back to the elevator, then I started screaming, I don't want to go to the hospital, I don't want to go. Because my friends were dying in the hospital. And so God brought me back.
But while you were out, you had an experience that changed your life.
Oh my gosh.
Tell Terry about that.
Absolutely beautiful. I never seen such, there's no way to describe white. There's no way. I mean, I was just up there in this white, just floating. I mean, I'm like, this is wonderful. It wasn't a cloud. They're not bright enough. They were not white enough. I've never seen anything like it. But I never did get to see God. But I was up there floating in whatever this white was, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And every day I would look for that white, and I have never found that white yet.
Well, your purpose isn't finished, right?
No,
That's
God
right.
brought me back.
Your book, the very first question I want to ask is, why tell your story now?
I think that's why I brought back. When I was...
Were you writing it at the time or no?
No. When I was in the hospital, it's like God was talking to me. Like, there's a lot of books out on George Jones and a lot of books out on you. I think it's time that you bring the truth out. So I told God, when I get out of here, I'm going to write a book. And I called Ken, and I told him, and he said, yeah, that was probably God talking to you. So that's why that I wrote the book, because I wanted people to know my story, how God brought me back, and the spiritual inside of me, and that is still there today, and never will it change. But I wanted people to know there is a good Lord out there, and that anything that you want, He can help you with it if you just believe.
And He saved you, and He saved so many other people, and you saved George.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Somebody
true.
had to. Too
Yeah.
many demons in that man.
Yeah.
But we got him out.
Most people give Nancy the credit for saving George's life, and she did, just as she's saying. But more than that, she brought him to a place where he would trust in the Lord. So it was more than just saving his physical body; it was also saving his eternal soul.
A beautiful story, but it was a long process. Let's go back. When did you meet George?
Oh, gosh. That was in 81. November of 81.
And I remember reading that you were like, no, I'm not very interested. No.
I didn't even know who he was.
She was not a country music fan or anything.
No, I was a Creedence Clearwater girl all the way. But after I met him, he was such a gentleman, so nice, so sweet, and just something that but I felt like God wanted me to help him. You know, he told me so much stuff that he said he never told anybody ever in his whole life. So we sat up talking all night long. And the things that he told me, I was like, wow, you've been through a lot and you're going through a lot. And so I just felt like that was what my mission was, to get him saved and get him to heaven. And that's what I worked on.
Were you in Alabama at this time, or where were you living? Were you in here in Nashville?
No, I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we didn't move to Nashville until 91.
91. So how long after you met him did you get married then?
Well, 2 years. We were married 32 years, together 34 years.
Okay.
But the 2 years that before we got married is whenever I guess I was learning there was more than just liquor going on. There was a whole lot that needed to be gone.
A lot.
And so, yes, so that was my goal, was to get rid of all of that and get this man closer to Jesus.
After you married, 32 years, when did everything start to fall apart, in the sense that you got married, and in the book it talks about his drinking? Did you know he was a big drinker when you married him? And
before we got married, he was more like a closet drinker, but you know, I have a nose, I can smell it.
Yeah.
So I knew that there was drinking going on. And then I knew there was cocaine. So something I never ever in my life even knew what it was. And I didn't know what marijuana was. I didn't know what cocaine was. And so it's in the book, the first time I ever said, "What is that?"
what'd he say?
He knocked the fire out of me because he thought, you know, I was making fun of him. I wasn't.
Was that the first time
I did not know
that
what it was.
Was that the first time he ever put his hand on?
Yes.
What was going through your mind at that point?
Like, wow. I mean, I really needed Jesus then. But I thought, you know, I can't do this. So instead of walking away, it's like I had this voice telling me, you're not going nowhere. You're going to help this man.
And how far along in your marriage was the first time he put his hand on you?
Oh, gosh. After that was before we got married that happened. And then in 83, he kind of calmed down a little. You had to keep him busy and keep projects. So that's how we ended up building Jones Country.
Okay.
Because I kept him busy for a long time.
We're going to talk about that more and everything that's happened in the book when we come back.
Okay.